We'll be done before lunch. Right after lunch. All good, man. Maybe a little overtime.
Sometimes you need 3 times the bacon. The Super Bacon Thick Burger, only at Hardee's. See Man of Steel in theaters June 14th.
So, it's been a little while since I've done a video on a single movie, a regular David Definitive Edition video on a single film. The last one that I did was back in October of last year, where I talked about Ghostbusters 2016. In it, I also said, man, it's been a while since I did a video. I think I said that. And then, because the one before that was the Sonic video, which came out a few months prior to that, and I said in that video as well, oh, it's been a while. So, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. Life stuff gets in the way, but hey, now I am out of college. I graduated. Here's a little snippet of that.
David Villaseñor.
That was really cool. That was exciting. And now I am officially unemployed too, because I had a job there and now I do not. So, yay! That's actually, so, you know, I don't love that, but hopefully that means now I can focus more time on making the videos better quality. And yeah, we'll see if that actually happens or not. I'm going to start by going back to the movies I had promised, going back to the videos I had promised last year but never made, like the Man of Steel video, which was supposed to coincide with the release of the James Gunn 2025 Superman, but now it's coinciding with Supergirl this year, because it just ended up happening that way. And I did rewatch the movie to make sure my thoughts are still the same. And yeah, they're mostly the same. Yes, I want to talk about Man of Steel because much like Superman 2025, it is the start of a brand new DC cinematic universe, and it starts with Superman, the most iconic DC superhero. Technically, Creature Commandos was the first thing to come from the new DCU, but like, it's a fine show. Superman is kind of the real start, if we're being honest, and Man of Steel is the start of the DCEU. There was once a time where I actually really hated this movie. I remember the first time I watched it was around the time I was actually getting more into Superman comics, so then I saw this version and I thought, oh my god, this movie's horrible. But now, as time has gone on, my opinion has actually kind of like differed a bit. Like, now I actually think I look back on this movie a little bit more positively, with still some negative caveats in there, which I'll get into. And why did my mind change after a while? Well, that's also something I'll get into. We got more of the video to go through, okay? Calm down, alright? I'm gonna talk about Man of Steel, but in this video, I don't plan to hate on Zack Snyder or anything, alright? So if there's any more Snyder bros out there who still exist for some reason, that's not what I'm going to be doing. I do got some positives in this, but I'm going to mix it in with some complaints too. All being fair, I'm going to mainly look at this movie as its own thing. I'm not going to compare it to like the recent Superman 2025 film or My Adventures with Superman or even any other piece of Superman media. And just to showcase that I don't have any hate towards Zack Snyder, I'm actually going to start with the positives first. So let's go do that right now. Let's go to the positives. Okay, I want to start off with the actual cast of the movie. Henry Cavill as Superman, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Diane Lane, Kevin Costner, Owen Fishburne as Perry White, and even Michael Shannon as Zod. I think all these actors actually do a good job. I don't love all the characterizations here, which I'll get into later, but the actual cast, I think, delivers good performances. In fact, it kind of reminds me, this is not a good comparison at all, but it kind of reminds me of how, like, the prequels of Star Wars has a really good cast. The problem is just that the characterizations there are not that great. But I will say, directing-wise, I think Zack Snyder does a better job at directing these actors than George Lucas did directing those actors in the prequels. Here, I think they actually do a good job at a lot of their scenes, especially at some of the dramatic moments and like some of the occasional good like moments that give me like the vibe of what I want from a Superman movie. Okay, Henry Cavill. I don't really love his portrayal of Superman, which I'll talk about when we get to the negatives, but when he just has to look grand, like this grand figure, this heroic figure, like, you know, flying above everyone else, has this stern look to him. Whenever he has to do stuff like that, he does a good job. Henry Cavill is good at aura farming as Superman here. I'll give him that. And Michael Shannon, I think, is like definitely like probably my favorite performance from this film. I genuinely really like his Zod. Like, I think he does a good job being the villain for this, and even has some good moments with Henry Cavill's Superman. And Michael Shannon's just a good actor. Occasionally, there are some good moments here that give off the vibe of what I feel a Superman story should have. Like, for example, like Pa Kent and Ma Kent. There are a few moments where they're talking to younger Clark, and okay, some of these moments are not good, specifically with one with the dad, which is a bit later. I'll get to the negatives. I'm sorry. I'm focusing on the positives. I'm really trying. Moment like in the movie where like some bullies are like trying to pick on Clark, and like he's really thinking about using his powers against them, but then he doesn't. And then like his dad steps in, the bullies go away, and he goes like, I'm really proud of you. You could have hurt them, but you didn't. And he's kind of telling him the importance of like, hey, you have this power, but you shouldn't use it. With great power comes something. I don't know. Point is, like, it's actually a nice moment. And then like earlier on in the film, we see like a younger Clark like in school first realizing he has powers, and it's like really disorienting. Like he's seeing through people, he's seeing through his teacher, like her skeleton and stuff. He can hear all the sounds. He's basically like panicking. Like he's never experienced something like this. And then his mom comes to school and just tries to comfort him while he's like hiding in like the utilities closet or something. And it is genuinely a really well done moment. It's a sweet moment. I think like those two are the best moments from his parents in this film, and they give off the vibe of like something that I feel like his parents would genuinely do in the comics. And also the action is actually pretty good in this. There are some moments where I'm like, some part of me goes like, you know what, yeah, I'm vibing with this. Yeah, punch that guy, Superman. Like, inner kid in me just, came out a bit, and like, it was enjoying just the vibe of like the action. And I think the actual cinematography of this movie does a really good job at capturing like the weight of his powers here. Like, I love the way the camera moves, trying to move as fast as Superman, but it can't fully catch up to him. Just really showcasing just like how fast Superman can be when he flies. And same goes like when he punches someone to the ground, or he gets punched by like Zod or something, and then like the camera just like, it really does a good job of capturing just like, whoa, it was like there was like a genuine impact there. Zack Snyder, while I don't love everything about his style, I think he does a good job of just making things look cool. Another good thing about the movie, it was never boring. I'll give it that. I genuinely had a decent time watching the film. Like, I was entertained through some things. I was annoyed by some others, but I'll get to that. Again, sorry about that. I swear I can give compliments without like just saying like without foreshadowing complaints. But that's the compliments I could say for the Man of Steel. I do think it has good qualities in it. Now let's talk about not full-on complaints, but just stuff that I'm like a little iffy on. It's let's get to that. I want to talk about the dark knightification of Superman that we see here. This movie was produced by Christopher Nolan, and he was attached to the story, I believe. This one, we see something similar to what The Dark Knight did for Batman, where we see like this more grounded take on Superman. It's not as flashy, where it doesn't really go out there with the crazy comic book stuff. Just kind of trying to harken down to a more realistic, I guess, approach to the character. And I don't hate that idea for Superman, albeit like personally, I guess I will say this is where some of my personal bias comes in. Like, on the one hand, I think that's fine with Superman. Superman's a character that I think you could tell in a lot of different types of stories, and this is just another type. Hold on, wait, I got a call. Sorry for that little interruption. I got a notification that I got a call from my mom telling me, oh, something came at the front door, but you have like a camera or something. Can you go pick it up? And I was like, sure. And it was my Kaufmo plush that I ordered from the Glitch Production Show, the Circus. I've been waiting for this like for a while now. I ordered it, and I was like, I'm gonna stop filming for a bit so I can play with this. So now he's just in the video now. This is a really actually soft plush. This has nothing to do with Superman, by the way. I'm sorry for this like little like detour, but he's so cute. Look, he's super soft and cuddly. Like, actually, he's like a lot softer and nicer quality than I realized he was gonna be. He's gonna be in the video now. Kaufmo is gonna be in the video now. What was I saying before Kaufmo? I'm fine if they want to do this take on Superman, but my issue is that this is supposed to be the start of a new DC cinematic universe to compete with the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So why start off with something that doesn't really feel like Superman that much? It feels like it's trying to be a grounded take on Superman, but it doesn't fully like do a lot of stuff that makes it feel like Superman. Like, take The Dark Knight, for example. Yeah, it's a more grounded, maybe darker take on Batman compared to maybe previous Batman films, but like, at the end of the day, it still has the stuff about Batman that I recognize. It still has the Batmobile, it still has Batman doing his usual thing, and like the villains, they look slightly different from their comic counterparts, but they still have elements here that make me go like, okay, I realize who that's supposed to be. And also, it still has Bruce Wayne being Bruce Wayne, dealing with the issues that he would have, like, oh, okay, he has to take on this role of Batman, but he also doesn't really want to all the time, and he has to deal with these crazed maniacs, you know, doing terrible stuff to the city. He's still doing Batman stuff. I still recognize this as Batman, but here they treat Superman not like the actual Superman. It feels like it's trying to be more of an analytical view on the idea of the character rather than the character itself. This is where the Jesus analogy comes into the movie. They ask the question, what if Superman is like a modern day Jesus Christ? And like, I sort of see where they're coming from. This is another thing that I'm iffy on. I can see the connection, but in making Superman this Jesus type figure, it then just kind of like boils down Superman to like being like a figure, not really a person. And the thing that makes Superman interesting to me is that he is like a person who for a long time believed he was human and then learned, oh wait, no, he's actually has this other origin to him. He's not human, but he was still raised on human values, so now he has these powers. Just wants to be a hero for the world, but also like he's just like a guy too. And here he's like, okay, he not only sees that he has this responsibility, but now he feels like he's kind of above everyone else in a way. Like honestly, maybe that could still be applied here. Like maybe other people could see him as a Jesus type figure, but he doesn't want to be seen that way. But he like still takes on the role of like humanity's savior, when in reality he just kind of wants to be seen as like a guy. But like no, in this movie they just like, I don't really think they play around with that all that much. Because of that, it makes Clark Kent himself just not that interesting of a character in this film. I just realized this part came off as a lot more complaining when in reality it was meant to be just me having a mixed bag. It's like, look, the mixed bag just comes from the stuff that I sort of see the idea behind some of these things, but I just don't think they were entirely executed all that well. Well, honestly, I probably should have renamed this part. This part actually is a lot more, maybe I should just added all of this stuff into the complaints. Okay, now let's get to the actual complaints. So I mentioned earlier in the film how I think there were some moments in here, specifically with Clark's parents, that I felt kind of invoked something of like a good Superman movie. But also, I just don't think those moments like fully hit as much as I want them to, because they contradict other moments that do not invoke a good Superman movie. Stuff like Kevin Costner dad telling Clark Kent, hey, maybe you should just let people die. Okay. It wasn't exactly like that. Like Clark Kent saves like these kids from a drowning bus, and like his dad goes like, look, what were you doing? You know, you could have gotten caught. And he says like, what, should I have just let them die? And he says, maybe. So still not good. So this rubbed people the wrong way when it came out, because it seemed like, wait, what? He would never say that. What? Well, why would Clark Kent's dad say that? And I don't think it's meant to be taken as him like not caring. It's meant to be more him worrying about like Clark Kent's safety, like not wanting his secret out, knowing like, you know, that would be dangerous for the world. But I also feel like his dad wouldn't be so like upset about him saving people. I don't fully know what they were trying to get across with that. I guess I never said spoilers for the movie. I always forget to say spoilers at the beginning of these videos. Okay, spoilers for the movie. In the last act of the film, Superman breaks Zod's neck, and it's supposed to be like this really jarring moment because Superman has never killed anyone. Well, we'll get to that, but he's never like purposely killed anyone before to this extent, and like it's supposed to be like this like really jarring scene of like, oh my god, he just killed this enemy, but he like did it to save these other people. He's like screaming, he's like, I can't believe I did that, oh my god. And honestly, it's a good moment that could work in other Superman stories. Like it could be like this genuine question of morality, like yeah, he did that, and Superman feels like it's like a terrible, like horrible action taking another person's life like that, but he did it to save other people's lives, and he took it from like the life of someone who would have hurt hundreds of other people and was going to destroy like the whole planet. But here's the thing, Superman did so much more damage before this. Like, okay, I said before that the action scenes I think are genuinely good, but during the last act, I just couldn't get into it. Like, yeah, did it look visually cool? Maybe, but like, I just couldn't stop thinking about all the damage Superman did. Like, he's like fighting Zod, and he's like trying to protect the Metropolis, but like, he's doing this while also throwing Zod through a bunch of buildings and like not caring about all the other people in the buildings or on the ground. All this damage is done, destruction everywhere. It's like basically like 15 9/11s in one day. About things that have been talked about for years at this point. But there's like a scene in this film where like a lady just goes up and says, Superman saved us.
We saved the city!
I feel like Superman would not be like the Superman that I know from like the comics and other media would not be so reckless. He would try to get Zod away from all this, or even try to like make some of his like friends like evacuate the city first before he could do this. Even in like, okay, here's where the comparison comes. In Superman 2025, like Lex Luthor does some major damage to the city, which by the way, keep in mind, it's a villain doing the damage. Superman tries to help make sure everyone gets out before like he does like an epic battle and stuff. And so, like, I just feel like that just makes sense for Superman because he cares about the people. When we get to Zod, it's supposed to be like the first time he's killed someone. It's probably like the 100th time he's killed someone, and on this day alone. This is where another issue comes with the film that, like, I think I noticed something about Zack Snyder's filmmaking is that he focuses on a lot what looks cool, but doesn't really think things through. Like, yeah, sure, the action of Superman fighting Zod in this city and like destroying all these buildings looks cool, but it also kind of goes against his character. I haven't seen Batman v Superman just yet, but from what I have heard, they do follow this up in that film, so I don't know how they're gonna cover it, but it just showcased that, yeah, like, Superman really, like, did do a lot of, like, damage here, so much so that I guess Batman gets mad at him or something. I know it sounded like I was really upset about this all, but I also think I kind of got over it after I finished watching the movie, which comes to my final conclusion of the film that I think the movie's not that great, but I also think it's not that bad either. Wow, what a unique take on a film. It's not that great, not that bad. When I first saw this film during the 2010s. It was like, I didn't watch it when it came out. I watched this like when we were already deep into like the DCEU. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League hadn't even come out yet. And there was a time where I didn't really like Superman all that much. I thought he was cool, and I grew up with some of the media with him, but he just wasn't someone like I really loved. Like, and I just kind of borrowed the same opinion that people had online, that he was a boring character. But then I actually did the unthinkable to comic book fans, and I actually read comic books. And I realized Superman is an actually really interesting character. When I saw this movie, I kind of realized this movie was kind of all those things that I had thought Superman was, but realized he wasn't. And I don't know if this was the movie that started that opinion that became popular online. At the time, I thought it was, and I thought, oh my god, this movie is absolutely horrible. One of the worst comic book movies I've ever seen in my life. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. But now, time has changed. Now, the opinion online of Superman has become more positive. People are actually starting to understand what makes him and his stories so great. And now we have media that actually portrays him in the light that we want him. In reality, I was just kind of being over dramatic about this film, because at the time it seemed like Superman's image was never going to be repaired, but now it is. And I can kind of look at this movie for what it is now, and I see it as, oh, it's fine actually. It has some interesting ideas, but I don't think they're executed that well. It's not a good Superman story, but I was still entertained. I still had some fun watching it. Well, I enjoyed some of it, is what I mean. And ultimately, I don't think it's a movie I'm gonna rewatch all that often, but now I don't really feel as angry about it as I used to, because now I realize, who cares? It's just a movie. It's just another Superman take among a dozen other Superman takes. So at one point, I was angry at this film for existing. Now, I just kind of think, oh yeah, that movie happened. I forgot to mention this in the video, but like there's like IHOP product placement in here. There's like a fight scene in IHOP, and I didn't know where to put that in like the positives, negatives, or mixed bags, because like obviously it's very clearly obvious product placement, but I low-key find it funny that there's like an important fight in an IHOP. I'm gonna think about that next time I eat an IHOP. I'm gonna be like, wow, this is just like the movie Man of Steel.